Hello everyone, I'm Allie with Stuck on You Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to make a tiny toboggan. This tiny toboggan is part of my newest pattern for Pippin the Penguin. It'll fit his little bobble buddy head. It should work for other bobble buddies or for little dolls or other favorite stuffies. I haven't tried it on them, but I assume that it would stretch to fit pretty much anything. I've made this one in worsted weight, but you can also use different yarns. This is a Pippin made in plush baby bear yarn. This is a size 5 bulky yarn. If you were going to make a hat for this size Pippin, then you would need to use the same size bulky yarn in order to get it to fit his head. So for today's tutorial, we're going to use worsted. So you can grab your worsted weight yarn and a 4mm hook, and let's get started. All right, so I've got my worsted weight yarn and a 4mm hook. And we are going to get started by making the brim. So the brim is the bottom portion of the hat, and it's worked in rows, and then it'll be connected into a circle at the end. So the first thing that we'll do is to make a slip knot. So make your slip knot, and then we're going to chain 5. So you should have 5 chains. Now we're going to work back along the chains, and I like to work into the back bump. I think it's a little more secure. So if you're looking at the front of the chain, you'll see that it's flat, but if you turn it to the back, then you'll feel a bump. So we're going to work our single crochet stitches into the bump, and we're going to do 4 single crochet stitches. All right, then when you get to the bottom of that row, you're going to chain 1, we're going to turn, and we're going to work back up the stitches that we've just created. So now we're going to work into the back loop only, which is this loop. So rather than going through both loops of the V, we're only going to work in the back loop. And we'll do 4 single crochet stitches up that row. Get to the end of the row, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and then do the same thing, working in the back loop only. Okay, you're going to keep adding rows until you get to about 10 inches. So if you lose track, then you can go and count the rows. I like to count them by 2s. So I'll show you here. If you have the bottom of the chain, the scrap yarn from the bottom of the chain facing up, then you know this is the first row and this is the second. So I like to count 2, 4, 6, 8, and cross like that. So you're going to continue until you get to 40 rows, which should be about 10 inches. And if that is too many or too few, then you can take a few rows out or add a few rows, but you want to get to about 10 inches. So work on that, and then we will come back for the next part. All right, so once you get to your 40 rows, you will have a brim that looks like this. So it'll just be a long line of ridges. And now what we're going to do to turn it into a hat is we're going to fold it in half. So put the 2 sides together, and then we're going to single crochet through both sides so that we can connect the pieces. So when you single crochet here, you're going to go through the outside loops of each side of the stitches. So this loop right here and this loop right here. You'll go through those outermost loops and place 4 single crochet stitches. So then you'll see that that connects it into a circle. And then that seam will blend in a little bit. I think using the outer loops helps that seam blend in a little bit better. So you'll have a circle now, and you're still going to stick with the same color, You're going to chain 1, and you're going to continue with single crochet stitches, but now you're going to crochet around the top of the brim. So in this next step, you have to create your own spaces for your single crochet stitches. So you just want to try to evenly space 40 single crochet stitches. We need 40 to be our starting count for the checkers. So you can kind of evenly go around and place your stitches. So once you've placed your 40 single crochet stitches, then you're going to slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. And that'll get you ready for row 2. And in row 2, we're going to want to have our alternate color. So you can go ahead and have that handy. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work 4 half double crochet stitches. On the 4th stitch, we're going to switch to the new color. So in order to have those seamless transitions, you want to finish that 4th half double crochet stitch with the new color. This is a technique used in tapestry crochet, and if you're not familiar with tapestry crochet, then I do have a tutorial on my website. But you want to finish the stitch with the color that will be used in the next stitch, if that makes sense. So we've got 4 half double crochet stitches here, and now we'll do 4 with the new color. And again, on that 4th one, we're going to switch back to the first color. And we'll be ready to go for our next 4. You want to carry the alternate color behind so that you're able to pick it up when you need to switch colors. So that means I'm just crocheting over, I'm carrying this white yarn and I'm crocheting over it as I go. So then when I need to switch colors, it's right there for me to switch to. And then I'll crochet over the other color. So you're going to keep going like this all the way across the row. And this is what will create our checkers. The yarns can get a little tangled, so take your time. You can, I like to keep them in some kind of like plastic bin or something to try and help keep them straight. Got a knot here. So continue alternating in groups of 4 half double crochet stitches all the way along row 2. Once you've placed the last stitch of row 2, we're going to slip stitch to the very first stitch, and then chain 1, and then we're going to turn the work. We're going to work back across row 1 in the opposite direction. We don't need to change our color here because we're going to stick with the color that we finished on, but what we're going to do is we're just going to work back across the first row, the second row in the opposite direction. So 4 half double crochet stitches, and then you'll pick up that alternate color, I'm losing my yarn here, pick up that, oh man, let's try that again. So pick up that alternate color, and then 4 half double crochet stitches in the alternate color. And you'll work back and forth like this between the colors all the way across the row. So what you're seeing is the inside here. I'll pause and show you the outside. So you can see the outside, it just gives it a little more height. So continue working like that all across row 2, and then we will connect it at the end of the row. All right, so we're almost around to finishing round 3, but on the final stitch of this round, we need to switch colors because in round 4, we're going to begin with the alternate color. So on that final stitch, just switch the color as if you were going to continue doing the next block of half double crochet stitches, but instead you'll join here. You're going to join to that first stitch, and then chain 1 and turn. All right, so to work row 4, it's a little bit of a tricky technique. So a half double crochet stitch, when it's worked in the round, is a very textured stitch. You're going to see a line appear depending on which direction you're working the half double crochet. And so in order to eliminate that line, we're going to work in the V on the front of the stitch. So if you look straight down, you can see those V's on the top. But what we're going to do is we're going to work in this V that's right here on the front. And that will help pull the stitch up so that we don't have that line. So you're still going to work half double crochet stitches, and you're still going to work them in sets of 4. But instead of working on top of the stitch, you're going to work on the front. I know this is a little tricky to see because I've got my yarn tail that's in the way there, but you can see how it's just pulling that stitch up a little bit. So go through both of those loops of the V on the front and continue to do sets of 4 half double crochet stitches. Switch colors there, and I'm going to work through that front V. I'll do one more set of 4 and then show you, you'll be able to see the checks starting to show up now. All right, so you can see that pulls that stitch up so that you don't have a line, a textured line going across the front here. So I'm not going to show the whole hat. We've done all of the techniques that you'll need to use. So for round 4, you're going to continue working in that front V, and then you'll join with a slip stitch and chain 1 and then turn to come back for row 5. Row 5 is going to be worked the same as round 3, or as row 3. And then row 6 will be worked like row 4. So you'll have one other row where you need to work in those front V's as opposed to the top V's. So work the rest of the rows of the hat, and then I will come back to show how to join the top. All right, once you have all of the rows of your hat done, then the last step is to just connect the top so that it turns it into a hat and not into a cuff. So you should have slip stitched to join. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to fold the hat in half, and we're going to work single crochet stitches through both sides of the hat, and that will close off that opening. You can go through both loops of the V. It's up to you. If you want to only go through the outside loop, you can. I like to just go through both. So you're going to go through the stitch on the front side and the stitch on the back side, and then you'll single crochet. And as you single crochet through both sides, then you will find that it closes off the hat. And you'll go all the way across with one single crochet stitch in each space. It should come to 20 single crochet stitches total. Notice that we're not alternating colors for the top portion. We're just sticking with one color here. So as you come up to the end, you'll have all your single crochet stitches across, and you can see that that totally closed off the hat. So you're just going to tie off here and then weave in all those ends. Once you get your ends woven, then you will have a teeny tiny toboggan, and you can put it on your Pippin penguin or another little buddy or stuffy, and hopefully it will provide a fun little accessory for playing with. So thank you for joining me with this tutorial. If you have any questions, then always feel free to reach out. And if you decide to make a Pippin or a tiny toboggan, then please tag me. I would love to see it. Thanks so much.